Hey everyone, Matt Baird here, host of the ATA podcast. You may have noticed that we haven't been around for a while. Our last podcast, episode 8, was on International Translation Day. That's September 30th for you newbies out there. In that episode, we talked with Karen Kachik about the ATA webinar series. She currently runs the program. If you're interested in e-learning, you'll really want to check that out. Now, we haven't been hibernating, but we did take a little break over the holidays, and we utilized the captivity of the cold winter months to prepare for our next episodes. We've come up with a great lineup for 2017, so be sure to stay tuned in. If you're a first-time listener, the ATA podcast is a source of news and insights from the American Translators Association for people who are podcast lovers like me. Past episodes have covered ATA's annual conference, the new computerized ATA certification exam, the ATA client outreach kit, and much, much more. Have a listen and learn more about the largest professional association of translators and interpreters in the United States. Okay, let's start today's show. The end of the year is always membership renewal time at ATA. ATA headquarters is flooded with thousands of renewals in the final weeks of the year. And in the first weeks of the new year, like mine. I never seem to get it done in December. If you recently renewed your membership, congratulations! You are part of a worldwide network of more than 10,000 translators and interpreters who are committed to quality and professionalism in our industry. Being an ATA member has many advantages. Your ATA membership gives you access to a host of members-only benefits and services uniquely designed to support your business and your career. In today's competitive marketplace, being an ATA member could be the ace up your sleeve. Today I'm going to talk with Tess Whitty about what it means to be an ATA member. What are the benefits? What's in it for you? Tess is a longtime ATA member, and she is the current chair of the ATA membership committee. So she knows a thing or two about the value of ATA membership. Tess, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Matt. It's nice to be on the other end of the recording for once.
I can imagine. It's great to have you. Now, before we get started, I'd like to play a bit of audio from ATA's 57th annual conference in San Francisco, which was this past November. It's from a short ATA film called Being an ATA Member, which you know very well about, and which our listeners can find on ATA's YouTube channel. Here we go.
The ATA membership has helped me develop professionally by being able to get in touch with and have communication with some of the biggest names in the industry.
At the very beginning, when I wanted to know more about translation, I actually found a translator through the ATA directory in my neighborhood and was able to connect with her.
The annual conference, I think it's one of the biggest conferences in the world where you have the opportunity to network, market your services, learn, develop professionally. I think it's one of the greatest conferences.
Beyond the conference, you actually get clients. If you're an ATA member, people will write you and say, I found your name off the ATA website. It's casual emails, and sometimes that actually works into a good working relationship.
The membership is worth it. I am both an individual and corporate member. I can verify if a translator is who they say they are, if they say that they're ATA certified.
ATA has been a very important part of my career as an interpreter. It has been very useful. I have been able to obtain some work from
corporations and in some other cases from individuals who are looking for certified interpreters or translators.
I like the fact that I'm listed there. I like that my credentials can be displayed on the directory.
It is a good way for agencies who are actively looking for translators to know who's available for work right away, and I think that's a great benefit.
It's connected me to some new clients. It's connected me to peers and people I can work with or ask questions with.
The ATA has such an added value to it that you're going to get back tenfold of what you're putting into it because of the connections that you make, the things that you learn.
Being an ATA member will definitely keep them up to date with industry news. I look to the ATA as the moral institution of linguists, and I think it has helped me develop how to work ethically, and I think that's one of the biggest ways for me to develop professionally.
ATA offers so many different webinars, one-on-one mentoring when you're ready to grow your profession, a lot of support for newer translators. It's just a really welcoming environment for me as a newer translator.
The possibilities are really endless of what you can do with the ATA.
Tess, as chair of the membership committee, you were intricately involved in the commissioning and production of the video. What's the intention of the video?
Well, they always create a video from the conference, but we in the membership committee wanted a video focusing on what it means to be a member or the benefits of being a member. And we wanted a video because it's easy to play. Video is highly ranked in social media these days, and it's very it's interactive. You see and you can see the faces of the people, and we wanted to use it in the membership committee to market ATA membership. So that was the idea behind it.
I think it's very inspiring. I enjoyed watching it. I've watched it several times now, and I know several of the people in the video, so that's kind of fun to see people you know. I think if anybody was on the fence about going to the conference and they watched that, they'd want to go, that's for sure, or becoming a member. Now,
and you can also, I wanted to add, you can also find it on the ATA website now.
Okay. Now, if somebody asked you, what is being an ATA member all about, what would you say?
Being an ATA member, it is all about connecting with peers and with clients. It's about learning more about my profession and having access to new information on tools and techniques and strategies and what's happening in the industry. But I think most of all, it's about networking with people in the same business as me, both colleagues and clients. You know, most professionals, like accountants, lawyers, marketing professionals, belong to a professional organization related to their job, and this is the one for translators and interpreters and translation companies and institutions. So, for example, I also belong to American Marketing Association since I have an educational and professional background in marketing, and I like to keep up with the happenings in that industry. And in the same way, I want to be an ATA member. It's a sign of my dedication for the profession, and it gives me so much when it comes to friends, colleagues, jobs, information, and so on.
That's a pretty good elevator pitch. Is that something you carry around with you? Are those precisely things you say to people on the streets, so to speak, who may be thinking about joining?
Basically, I also always mention the conference because I remember my first ATA conference in 2005 when I had been working as a freelance translator for about a year and a half. And that conference was really eye-opening for me, and I felt like I was coming home, and it paid itself back in at the most 2 months. But if you want me to further on my elevator pitch, I would also say that ATA is the largest professional association of translators and interpreters, I think, in the world. Not quite 100% sure, but I think it is. And it has over 10,000 members from 95 countries. So this makes it a really immense networking resource.
I can only concur with you, and my first experience at the conference in 2000 was very similar. I had virtually no idea that there was this huge industry out there, and was completely blown away by what was out there in terms of technology and just how many people and the great people I met. And yeah, my first job came from that first conference as well. So that became one of my best clients, if not my best client, in the first few years of my career as a freelance translator. So it's certainly paid off. Now tell us.
Even just by being a member in ATA and being in the directory has given me many really good clients, professional clients.
Yes, for me as well. Now, Tess, tell our listeners who can become an ATA member.
I think anyone can become an ATA member. If you are interested in our industry, in the translation and interpreting industry, and the profession, you can become an associate member. But to become an active member or voting member, you either have to be certified or go through a very easy membership review, which is basically to prove that you are professionally active in the field.
So you don't need a translation credential per se to join the ATA and benefit from membership?
No, I joined the ATA within my first year of becoming a freelance translator, and my background was in marketing. I mean, I've studied languages and a lot for 9 years, but I did not have a translation credential when I joined.
Now, we talked a minute ago about how the conference can pay for itself. The ATA's website, atanet.org, says, and I quote, ATA membership pays for itself.
Okay.
Now, what does the association mean by that? What are some of the benefits, the real tangible benefits you see to ATA membership?
Well, first of all, I think the ATA membership fee is very low compared to the fee of other professional associations, but it basically means that by being a member, you get access to colleagues, to clients, to education and marketing resources that can save you both time and money and bring you new business. This might be a job through your listing in the ATA directory, or you might be learning a new CAT tool that will save you both time and money, or get a new client, or find a colleague that can help you with the proofreading, or just as a social colleague to chat with about clients, or just anything. It's really worth it, I think.
You mentioned the ATA directory. When you Google search, find a translator or interpreter on ATA directory is right there at the top of the list. I think a lot of people don't realize that, and a lot of translation buyers out there, I think that's almost naturally what they might Google when they're first starting out. So
do you mean when they Google for example, for a Swedish translator, the result shows up high?
No, what I mean is more general. What I understand is that when you search for simply like quote find a translator or search for translator or interpreter
Oh.
in Google, that the ATA directory, it's high up on the list, or even at the very top of the Google hits, and
Okay.
so being a member and being in that ATA directory, a lot of people are going to be Googling translation and interpreting and wanting to know, hey, where can I find a translator? And I think a lot of them are going to end up at the ATA directory. So just being in the directory as a member, as a member. You mentioned low membership dues. Could you expand on that a little bit? Can you tell our listeners out there how much it costs to become a member, and how does that really compare with some other professional organizations?
Okay, so individual membership in ATA is $190. That's under $200, and that includes membership in divisions too.
Per year, correct?
Per year. And then there's like translation or interpreting institutions. Their membership is $235, and corporate membership is $350. And then a student membership is only $80, which, if you compare it to the tuition, is very low.
Yeah.
And then if you would compare this with, for example, an accountant, a membership in a professional association for accountants, that's over $1,000, and for lawyers it's over $1,000. If you're a massage therapist, it's about $600-700.
Oh wow!
And
didn't know that.
Yep. And then for me, the American Marketing Association is a bit lower, but it's still over $250. So I think that the ATA membership is very affordable for what you get.
And there is a discount, right, for if you sign up for 3 years at a time. It's slightly cheaper.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't checked if they give discounts for other associations. I just renew annually for the American Marketing Association, for example.
Okay. Yeah, I've been renewing on a 3-year basis just because it seems easier. So let's talk a little bit about we talked a little bit about the benefits so far, what an ATA member can get. And by the way, I understand, or I should mention, that there are also some member-to-member discounts going on. So there's some real monetary benefits if you're a member. Other members who have businesses that offer discounts for their services to other ATA members, correct?
Yep. For example, I use some of my clients require that I have a liability insurance, and I use the membership discount for the ATA recommended liability insurance provider.
Okay.
For that. And we ATA has a lot of webinars to attend that we can attend as members, and
yeah, that's a huge benefit. The last podcast we did, episode 8, was on the webinar program with Karen Kachik, and there are over 60 webinars available. And I think, yeah, members get a good $15-20 discount for each, if not more, for each episode. So that's each webinar. But let's talk about, now we've talked about some of the benefits. Once you become a member, I think you can get different levels, get different things out of a membership depending on what you've kind of put into it. So let's talk about that for a little bit. How can AT members get the most out of their membership? How can they make it really work for them?
Okay, so if it's a new member, I recommend that they first of all fill out their directory profile as complete as possible, with as much detail as possible, because it's searchable in search results, and you will automatically start getting the newsletter and the ATA Chronicle, which is the ATA publication, that I think we get 12 or 10 issues a year.
I believe it's down. I believe that it's down to 6 a year now. They're doing
okay.
bi-monthly issues. Yeah.
Okay, but they have monthly newsletters.
Exactly. In fact, yeah.
And then, like I said, I quite soon started checking out the conference and attending that, because that really opens up your eyes to all the possibilities in the business. But you can also then join an ATA division. For example, if you work with medical translations, you can join the medical division, or if you work with technical translations, you can join the technical division. And I am part of the Nordic division for the Nordic languages, and there are many divisions based on your either specialization or interest. And then there are local chapters or affiliate groups, so you can get more involved and meet people in person locally through those. And you can, of course, start following ATA on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter to get the latest and even participate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can, if you want to get involved yourself, like you said, you get as much as you put into it. You can start participating in the discussions on the listservs or in the social media, and you can volunteer for a chapter or a division, and you can submit articles to the Chronicle, or you can also present at the ATA conference, and as a presenter you get your face out in front of many people
Mm-hmm.
at once and get more known. So for example, if you presented at the ATA conference and they know that you're a German into English translator and they've seen you and maybe talked to you, then it's if anybody asks for a German into English interpreter or translator, I will think of you,
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen you, I met you. Those are just some examples.
Yeah, presenting at the ATA conference, I think, is a great way to raise your profile, and especially if you feel like you have something to offer, and giving back to the association. I know that's one of the reasons why I volunteer, is I feel like the first 6 years or so I was a member, I got so much out of it, and then wanted to kind of give back to, especially to the newcomers that are coming in every year into the association. The one thing I never tried was the mentoring program, which I think is a huge benefit as well. That new members have the opportunity to apply for that and possibly get paired up with a seasoned, very experienced translator with whom they can work for 1 year and really learn really one-on-one from an experienced translator. And I think that's something, if you're not a member, maybe you find a friend that'll help you out, but this is really a very well organized and structured program now, with goals and I think milestones, and really it's really a serious program now. So I think that's a huge benefit for newbies, if we want to call them that.
I know. I've been a mentor now for 3 years, and I really enjoy it. It's very fun to be a mentor.
That's great. There's also the new interpreter credential that was recently announced, and that's a huge benefit now for interpreters, that they can list their credentials in the ATA directory, something that wasn't possible before. I can let listeners know that one of our future next episodes is going to talk in detail about the new interpreter credential in the ATA directory, so stay tuned for that.
Cool.
Tess, we've covered quite a bit. I think we've really covered what it means to be an ATA member, and the benefits, and how you can make it work for you and get the most out of your membership. Any final words you have for our listeners?
Sure. I, as the membership committee chair, we have worked on collecting what people think about the ATA membership, and we have received a lot of information. So do you mind if I quote a testimonial?
No, not at all. Please do.
Which I really like. So here's one of the testimonials we received. I became an ATA member the moment I started translating and have been ever since. I felt that by becoming a member, I took charge of my career. Not long after, I started receiving translation requests from clients who had found my name in the ATA directory, being offered a chance to become and remain certified is a huge benefit. And let's not forget the ability to connect with colleagues in the same field through the ATA divisions. I think just listing the association membership on your resume, website, or email signature shows that you are serious about your career. I really like that testimonial, and
Excellent.
that also reminded me about one huge benefit that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's the certification.
Yes, of course.
You can become a certified translator in many of the languages in ATA these days, and by becoming certified, it's sort of a professional credential, sort of like for the interpreting credential. You get tested on your translation ability or translation quality, and if you pass, you get sort of a stamp of approval that you can show to your clients in the world that you are a certified translator. And some clients only search for certified translators, so it's a huge benefit to become certified.
Yes, you get added to sort of the cream of the crop pool in the directory, because that's actually searchable in the directory as well. I think it's one of the search criteria that you can search just for ATA certified translators.
And this is a profession that's hard to put a quality stamp on, but this is one of the quality stamps you can get, because the barrier to entry in the translation business is very low.
Yes. Now, Tess, I've got one final kind of a follow-up question. As you're the chair of the membership committee, and I'd be interested, and I'm sure our listeners as well, to know a little bit about what the committee is doing, or any projects working on that you can talk about right now for 2017. Anything new on the horizon?
Yeah, so the first real tangible result was the membership video that you played a clip from. And we are working on email templates to send out to, we are trying to recruit people that are member of local translators and interpreters associations to become ATA members, and we're working also on a more long-term project on school outreach together with the school outreach committee, but also to recruit members from linguistic institutions. And we are working on short free ebooks on getting started as both a translator and another ebook for interpreters. So those are some of our plans for the future.
That's great. Sounds like you got your hands full.
It's fun. It's fun.
Right on. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's been very enlightening, and look forward to hearing what future news comes out of the membership committee.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me, Matt.
Now go out into the world and make the most of your ATA membership. But before you do, I'd like to leave you with a top 10 list of sorts. Well, it's actually a top 5 list. The top 5 reasons you benefit from being an ATA member. Okay, here we go. Number 5, follow trends. That's right. You get comprehensive coverage of news, technology, and best practices so you can keep pace with the industry. Number 4, stay informed. That's right. Being an ATA member gives you access to continuing education, professional development, so you can increase and strengthen your marketable skills. This is relevant stuff for translators and interpreters. Number 3, get solutions. Practical, experience-based answers to the problems faced by working translators and interpreters. Number 2, this is my favorite, probably my number 1 personally. Find community. Access to people, resources, and networks to expand and grow your business. Really, I cannot emphasize this enough. The people I've met since I joined the ATA in 2000, the conferences I've been to, the informal gatherings, the listservs, I've learned so much that I never would have learned right here in my solitary home office. And number 1, gain visibility. This is true. This is a big one. By being affiliated with the industry's best known professional association, you get recognized. It's as simple as that. Your name in that directory will help clients find you. Here's a little footnote to what Tess and I talked about earlier. If you search in Google, literally write in Google, find a translator or an interpreter, ATA directory is the number 1 Google hit. You type in find a translator, ATA is the first top hit. Find interpreter, ATA is the number 1 hit on Google. And believe me, people, that makes a difference if you want to be found by clients out there. I got a couple of additional footnotes to this episode. The ATA Chronicle is the association's flagship publication. It's published bi-monthly. There's 6 issues a year. The publication was revamped in 2016. If you'd like to know more about that, listen to episode 4 of this podcast. Also, the newsletter that the ATA sends out is called the ATA News Briefs. It is a bi-weekly newsletter that comes out 2 times a month. Finally, we mentioned the interpreter credential in today's episode. This was not in reference to an interpreter credential issued by ATA. Instead, this was regarding the fact that interpreters, ATA member interpreters, can now list their interpreter credentials from qualifying organizations in the ATA directory, and that people searching for interpreters can search based on that criteria. It's a new and really great benefit for interpreters who want to stand out and display their credentials in the ATA directory. If you want to know more about this benefit, check out some of the latest ATA news briefs and be sure to watch for one of the upcoming ATA podcast episodes, because we're going to talk about just that. Now, if you like what you heard today, please leave a review before you go. We'd really appreciate it, and help spread the word about the podcast. Tell your friends on Facebook, tweet about us, link to us from your website. And by the way, ATA has a Facebook, and yes, we're on Twitter and you can get linked up to us on LinkedIn right now. Finally, a question for you. If you have an idea for a future podcast, or if there is something about ATA you would like to know more about, then let me know, and we just might do an episode about it in the future. Or just tell me what you think of the podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Write to me at podcast@atanet.org. Episode 9 was co-produced by Mary David and myself. Special thanks to Tess Whitty for sharing what ATA membership is all about. And a big thank you to our tech guru at ATA headquarters, Rashawn Pacarel, who makes sure the podcast reaches you all. And thanks to you all for tuning in. We'll see you next month.